The Fallout games have a plethora of different and unique weapons scattered across their respective wastelands. I wanted to know whether it was possible to beat Fallout with every single one of these weapons. So, with the help of a picker wheel, today we find out, can you beat Fallout 3 with the Metal Blaster? I'm going to preface this by saying that once we have this weapon, the game will be easy peasy, squeeze the lemon. So this is more about the journey than the destination. One other thing is that I'm using the save from my previous run, as nothing really changes in the vault. Outside of the unskippable Radroach, I don't kill anyone, and I can modify my character before I leave the vault. So with all that said, let's begin. Seeing as the weapon is a reference to Mad Max, I give myself an appropriate name and set my special stats. Perception is at 9 to give energy weapons a boost. Luck is also 9 to increase our critical hit chance, which is pretty much always a bonus, and the last extra point goes to Intelligent for skill points. For our tag skills, I choose energy weapons for obvious reasons, and then medicine and barter. Once again, I made a mistake, as repair would have been a much better choice, but it doesn't matter too much. For once, I actually want the DLC messages to pop up, as that's where we're going to find today's weapon. I decided to stop off in Megaton, help Moira with a little bit of research, and then promptly sell anything that's useless to me for this run to get some more caps. I'll most likely need to buy ammo for this thing, as I won't be able to find much of it until later in the main story. Either way, once that's done, I start to head to my location. I mark Big Town, Paradise Falls, and a Satkamore on my map before reaching the radio tower, where we can begin the process of getting our weapon. Once Werner has killed the raiders surrounding him, with a little help from me being a human shield, I talk to him, where he criticises me for not helping, and then talks me into grabbing a slave outfit to blend in. On the way there, I get ambushed by some Talon Company mercs, and without a way to defend myself, all I can do is run away. But if you know how these challenge runs often go, you know that they'll get what's coming to them later down the line. I managed to acquire a slave uniform from a dead body, and subsequently piss off the nearby raiders. After that, I try to find Werner, only to find him stuck in a rock, with a raider standing over his glitched out body. But eventually he somehow finds a way out, and we're on our way to the pit. Not much happens straight away. We arrive at the pit and get attacked by the raiders, but once again, without a weapon, I have to sit back and let Werner handle this himself, while I loot anybody I can find. Eventually, I get inside, and now it's as simple as following orders. I get told that I have to blend in, and to do that, I have to go to the steel yard, where the hard work starts. When out in the steel yard, you can find steel ingots all around the place. For every 10 you collect, you get a reward from Everett, and after giving 50, you will receive the Metal Blaster. While it isn't too difficult, the main obstacle is avoiding the Trogs and Wildmen, as, again, I have no way to protect myself. So after talking with Everett, I go outside and start to collect as many as I can find.
Hold still, meat!
With that done, I receive the Metal Blaster, and now the run can finally start. With this weapon, as long as I don't run out of ammo, the rest of the game is going to be easy. For anyone who doesn't know, this is a souped-up laser rifle, as it can fire 9 laser beams while only using 1 microfusion cell at a time. With my fourth choice of weapon acquired, it's time to run through the main mission of the pit. I return to Medea, who tells me that I have to fight in the arena, which is good for me, because I get to test out my weapon for the first time. I defeat the first, second, and third lot of opponents without any real issue, which means I get my audience with Asher, and rather than listening to anything a slaver has to say, I shoot him in the head, and then steal his baby, which is the good option, especially seeing as her father is now dead. I fight my way back to Medea and Werner, where I hand the baby over, and then go to turn off the floodlights and let the Trogs attack the slavers. With that, I complete the Pit DLC and return to the capital wasteland. What do I decide to do with my newfound freedom? I visit Big Town and agree to help them out with their super mutant problem. Although I get a bit distracted, end up in Megaton, and disarm the bomb. This gets me a house, which I then promptly forget about for the rest of this run, since I'm not hoarding items like I would do in my regular playthrough. Anyway, I meet up with Moriarty and talk to him about my dad and reject his first offer, and then end up paying for the information anyway at a higher rate. I figured I would play the main story as if I had no idea where Dad was, since skipping to Smith Casey's garage can be a little boring, but we end up abandoning that idea later. You'll see why. With the information gathered, I head to Galaxy News Radio, bump into the Brotherhood of Steel, and promptly let them do all the work, seeing as I currently have no ammo. I figured that some of the bodies would have microfusion cells on them, but that doesn't end up being the case. And since I also can't use the Fat Man, I have to wait until the Brotherhood defeat the Behemoth on their own. While they have the firepower, I do have to be bait, as if I wander too far away from it, the Behemoth returns to the starting point, so I just run back and forth until it's dead. Luckily for me, there's a whole 17 microfusion cells on the body, which I then use to disintegrate Three Dog. I never liked his quest and always found it boring, especially since he keeps information from me, and he won't be the only one at the wrong end of my 9-barreled laser rifle. Honestly, I think this was just my attempt at playing an evil character, as you'll see later. For now, with Three Dog dead, my quest to find my dad reaches a dead end, and so I decide to visit Rivet City in order to continue the main quest line, and also to get some more ammo. Suffice to say, I won't put in all the footage of me waiting around Flak and Shrapnel, but it was a lot of waiting, buying, then waiting again in order to get an amount of ammo that I was happy with. Then I visit the science lab, pick up the bobblehead, get given the replicated man quest, and get the last known location of my dad, Liam Neeson. Instead of going straight to Project Purity, I at least attempt the Android quest line, but I hit another dead end when I need to get access to the other side of Rivet City, and can't be bothered to get my lockpick skill up that high. So surely now I go and find Dad? Nope. Instead, I return to Big Town to properly help them out with their super mutant problem, which doesn't take too long, as all I have to do is rescue their friends from the Germantown prison. The super mutants don't pose much of a threat inside the prison, and it's the same story when they try to assault Big Town. If super mutants aren't immune to my lasers, then neither are the raiders at the Super Duper Mart, as I help Moira with her research. Honestly, I think I just wanted to play Fallout 3 for a bit, and didn't know which quest to focus on for the video. Either way, I managed to acquire both medicine and food, before returning to Megaton and reporting back to Moira. I decide to continue to help her by drinking some irradiated water, and returning to her once again. I finish up the first chapter of the Wasteland Survival Guide by making a visit to Minefield, and bring her back a present. I agree to help her further by flinging myself off a walkway until I'm injured, and, you know the drill by now, return to her so that she can study us and then fix us up. This is where I would stop helping her, as while I could fully complete the Mirelurk research, there's no way I could test the mole rat repellent, as that requires a different weapon, which would be against the rules, so this is where we finally return to the main quest. I not only go to the Jefferson Memorial to get the location of my dad, but I also clear it of mutants so I don't have to do it later. It just speeds things up a bit since we've already been sidetracked plenty of times. Speaking of getting sidetracked, remember when I said earlier in the video that the Talon Company mercs would get what's coming to them? Well, it just so happens that I stumbled across their base and killed everyone outside of it. I would have cleared out the inside too, but I didn't want to waste any more ammo than I already have. On my way to Smith Casey's garage, I bump into some outcasts and try to pickpocket them, and while they don't turn hostile immediately, one of them does decide eventually that they want me dead. Unfortunately for them, my rifle makes short work of them, and I end up getting a few more microfusion cells. With all that finally out of the way, I make my way into the garage, into the simulation, make the Chinese invade, and escape with Dad. Which means returning to Rivet City, returning to the science lab, returning to the memorial, and fixing up a few things there until the Enclave show up. This is where things become even easier if you can believe it. The Enclave often use energy weapons that use microfusion cells, and that means I won't have to keep returning to Flak and Shrapnel like I have been doing throughout this entire run. Obviously, I've been editing it out because it's not fun watching me wait around, but suffice to say, this will cut down on backtracking, which will not only speed up the game itself, but also the editing when I get around to it. Once the Enclave arrive, I head back to the Rotunda to watch Dad die, and then talk to his lifeless corpse. Continuing with my evil playthrough, once I'm in the tunnels, I decide to kill each and every member of the scientific team, except Lee, because she's an essential NPC. I also spawn camp the Enclave, which gives me a nice boost in ammo yet again. Once I arrive at the Citadel, I get power armor training so I can finally wear Asher's power armor that I've been dragging around since the pit, and then I immediately turn on my newfound allies. This doesn't really affect the game in any way, and I can continue on with the main quest, which is me going to Vault 87, but we hit a snag. MacCready won't let us in, and my speech doesn't work this time, so we're off to Paradise Falls, where we kill pretty much everyone there and release the slaves. From here on out, it's the usual affairs. I gain access to Little Lamplight, gain access to Murder Pass, ignore Fox's request for freedom, retrieve the Gek, and then get kidnapped by the Enclave. If going through the Taft tunnels was easy, then going through the Enclave base is even better. My weapon plows through them, and the majority of them have microfusion cells on them, so I actually end up leaving with more ammo than I started with. When I return to Megaton, I find the Vault 101 signal broadcasting, and you know what that means? I head there and settle things peaceably. With that completed, there's only one thing to do, and that's the assault and retaking of Project Purity. Usually, you're supposed to follow Liberty Prime to the location, but I take things into my own hands and run ahead, causing me to be on my own. I manage to get through all of the checkpoints, killing Enclave soldiers as I go, before I reach Project Purity, where I knew I'd hit a dead end. So, back to Liberty Prime it is, where we follow the exact same path I did before, and finally making it into the Memorial Building, where I dispatch Colonel Autumn, sacrifice myself, finishing the game, and giving the answer of yes, you can beat Fallout 3 with the Metal Blaster. I think it goes without saying that once I got my hands on this weapon, there was no doubt that I'd easily finish the game with it, but as I said at the beginning, it's more about the journey than the destination. I may try to think of some more challenging ideas for these playthroughs, but for now, we've answered the question, so let me know what you thought of this video, or leave any ideas for future runs in the description below. Subscribe to be alerted to my next upload, and I'll see you all next month for another challenge video.